Ladies and gentlemen, we all know the feeling of being in our comfort zone. It's that place where things are familiar, where the risks are minimal, and where we feel secure. Whether it's in our personal life, our career, or even in our relationships, it's easy to gravitate toward what feels safe and predictable. But while our comfort zone may provide us with a sense of ease, it also comes with a hidden cost that limits our growth. Think of it like this. Imagine a bird in a cage. The bird feels secure inside the cage, safe from predators, comfortable in its familiar surroundings. But the moment that bird spreads its wings and takes flight outside the cage, it encounters a world full of new opportunities, new experiences, and new challenges. It's only in that moment of flight, when the bird is willing to leave the safety of its cage, that it truly begins to grow. Similarly, when we remain within the boundaries of our comfort zone, we prevent ourselves from stretching, from exploring new possibilities, and from unlocking our full potential. Yes, it feels safe, but the price we pay is stagnation. We limit our ability to learn, to adapt, and to evolve. And over time, this leads to a sense of frustration, dissatisfaction, and missed opportunities. Think about the times in your life when you've taken a leap of faith, whether it was starting a new job, moving to a new city, trying something new, or pursuing a passion that was outside your usual routine. In those moments, you likely felt a mix of excitement and fear. You didn't know exactly how things would unfold, and that uncertainty was both thrilling and intimidating. But you were also expanding your horizons, stretching your abilities, and challenging yourself in ways you couldn't have done if you'd stayed in the safety of the familiar. When we choose to stay inside our comfort zones, we stay within the boundaries of what we already know. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying a routine, it's important to recognize that routine and predictability can become crutches that prevent us from moving forward. We get used to what's comfortable, but comfort doesn't always lead to progress. In fact, the longer we stay in our comfort zone, the more it starts to feel like a prison. We stop dreaming big because we become content with what we already have. We stop taking risks because the fear of failure outweighs the thrill of success. But here's the catch: the world outside our comfort zone is where real growth happens. Every time you push yourself beyond what you know, you expand your potential. You start to see that your limits are often self-imposed, and the boundaries you thought existed were never as fixed as you believed. By stepping outside, you open up the possibility of encountering new people, new ideas, and new experiences that enrich your life in ways you never could have imagined. It's in those uncomfortable moments of change that we discover strengths we didn't know we had. It's when we're forced to adapt, to learn, and to grow that we unlock the capacity to accomplish things we once thought impossible. We gain new skills, we cultivate resilience, and we increase our confidence, because every challenge we overcome in that uncomfortable space makes us stronger and more capable of facing the next one. In short, the comfort zone is a safe place, but it's also a limiting place. It's a space where we can coast along, but it's not a space where we reach our full potential. True growth requires us to step out, to take risks, to embrace change, and to believe that we are capable of more than we ever thought possible. Remember, the world outside your comfort zone is where the magic happens. It's where you become the best version of yourself. So while the comfort zone may feel good in the moment, it's the journey outside it that will shape your future in ways you can't yet see. One of the most powerful forces that holds us back from stepping outside our comfort zones is fear, specifically the fear of the unknown. It's completely natural to feel uncertain, anxious, or even scared when faced with change, new experiences, or unfamiliar situations. Fear is a basic human response. It's the body's way of protecting us from perceived danger or discomfort. And yet, while fear is a natural response, it is also one of the biggest barriers to growth and success. Think about it. Anytime we are about to step into the unknown, we are confronted with a sense of vulnerability. We don't know what will happen next. We don't know how we'll handle the challenges that may arise. The outcomes are unclear. This uncertainty triggers a fear of failure, rejection, or even embarrassment, and it's easy to let that fear stop us in our tracks. But here's the truth: fear is not a signal to retreat, it's a signal to advance. Imagine the first time you did something truly challenging. Maybe it was speaking in front of an audience, trying a new skill, or taking on a new responsibility at work. In those moments, you probably felt a twinge of fear or self-doubt. The fear of not being good enough, of not succeeding, or of making a mistake might have loomed large. But guess what? You moved through that fear. You stepped forward anyway. And on the other side, you learned, grew, and became more confident. The key point here is that fear doesn't go away simply because we wish it to. In fact, it's often a sign that we are on the verge of something important. Every major breakthrough, whether it's personal, professional, or creative, requires us to face the fear of the unknown. This fear isn't something to be avoided, it's something to be acknowledged and managed. It's about recognizing that fear is not the enemy, rather, it's the indicator that we are about to grow in ways we can't yet foresee. For instance, think about entrepreneurs who take risks to start their own businesses. The fear of failure is almost always present, but they move forward anyway because they understand that the unknown is where opportunity lies. Consider an athlete preparing for a major competition. The fear of losing or failing is part of the journey, but it doesn't stop them from training hard, pushing their limits, and giving their best. In both cases, fear doesn't paralyze them, it motivates them to take action and rise to the challenge. Now, this fear is often amplified by our thoughts. We start to imagine worst-case scenarios. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I make a mistake? But here's a reality check. The worst-case scenario is rarely as bad as we imagine it to be. In most cases, failure is not final, it's a lesson. And even in the face of mistakes or setbacks, we often learn more than we would from playing it safe. When we allow fear to rule us, we also rob ourselves of the potential to experience some of life's most rewarding moments. Fear might make us hesitate, but on the other side of hesitation lies progress. When we step into uncertainty with courage, we unlock possibilities we never knew existed. We find new strengths, new talents, and new passions we never would have discovered if we remained in the safety of what's familiar. What's more, embracing uncertainty fosters resilience, one of the most valuable traits we can develop. Every time we face a fear, push through it, and learn from it, we build our resilience. We prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Each experience with the unknown makes us more confident in our ability to adapt and thrive, even in the most unpredictable situations. The paradox is this: the more we lean into the fear of the unknown, the more we realize that the unknown is not as dangerous or as threatening as it first appeared. Our minds tend to inflate the fear, making it seem far worse than the reality. But when we take the first step, we often find that the unknown becomes known and the journey becomes less intimidating. So yes, fear of the unknown is completely natural. It's human. But what makes us different is how we respond to that fear. Do we allow it to control us, to keep us stuck where we are? Or do we acknowledge it, understand it, and move forward with the understanding that growth, opportunity, and success are often found precisely where fear resides? Embracing uncertainty is part of personal and professional growth. When we choose to step forward, despite the fear, we give ourselves permission to grow beyond our current limits. It's in the unknown that we find new perspectives, new connections, and new paths to success. And each time we face the fear of the unknown and push past it, we not only unlock new opportunities, but also build a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. When we think about change, our initial reaction is often one of resistance. Change can feel disruptive, unsettling, and unpredictable. It challenges the stability of what we know and forces us to confront uncertainty. And yet, despite how intimidating change may seem, it is not a threat, it is an opportunity. Change is the universe's way of nudging us toward growth. It's an invitation to learn, to adapt, and to evolve into the best version of ourselves. Yes, change often requires us to step outside of our comfort zones, but it also offers the potential to discover new strengths, new talents, and new paths we may never have considered if we stayed in the same place, doing the same thing. Think about nature for a moment. Seasons change, ecosystems evolve, and plants must adapt to new climates. If they didn't, they wouldn't survive. Similarly, as individuals, we are constantly evolving. The challenges and changes we face in life, whether personal or professional, are like the changing seasons in nature. While they may initially feel like obstacles, they are actually opportunities for us to transform, to learn, and to grow in ways we never expected. For instance, take the example of a person who switches careers later in life. At first, the thought of starting over in a new field might seem daunting. The fear of failure or the anxiety of the unknown can feel overwhelming. But in reality, making a change, whether it's taking on a new job, going back to school, or starting a business, opens up a world of new possibilities. It challenges us to build new skills, learn new concepts, and see the world from a fresh perspective. While it might be uncomfortable at first, this discomfort is a sign of growth. Change also offers us the chance to reassess what we truly want out of life. Sometimes we become so accustomed to our routines, our habits, and our circumstances that we stop questioning whether they are still serving us. But change forces us to ask new questions. Am I still on the right path? Is this the person I want to be? Is this the life I want to live? When we embrace change, we open the door to self-reflection and self-discovery, which is essential for our personal evolution. Look at how change often leads to innovation. Some of the greatest inventions and breakthroughs in history were born out of a need to adapt to new circumstances. The rise of the internet, the creation of new medical treatments, the development of renewable energy technologies, these innovations didn't come from staying the same, they came from responding to change. The world is constantly evolving, and those who succeed are the ones who can adapt and pivot in response to new challenges and opportunities. But let's be clear, change does not always come with immediate rewards. It often involves struggle, discomfort, and moments of doubt. When things change, we may feel uncertain or even afraid. However, this discomfort is a sign that we are pushing past our old boundaries, and it is through this struggle that we find our true potential. The journey might not always be easy, but it's the hard changes, the ones that stretch us, that help us evolve the most. For example, consider someone who decides to embrace a healthier lifestyle by changing their diet and exercise habits. At first, it may feel challenging. The comfort of old habits might be hard to let go of. But over time, that change leads to greater physical and mental well-being, increased energy, and a sense of empowerment. In this case, the discomfort of change becomes a pathway to transformation. It's not the change itself that's uncomfortable, but our resistance to it. When we accept that change is necessary for growth, we start to see it not as something to avoid, but as something to embrace. Another powerful aspect of change is that it often forces us to be more creative. When faced with a new challenge or a shift in our circumstances, we are forced to think outside the box, to find new solutions, and to innovate in ways we might not have considered before. This is particularly true in professional environments where industries are constantly evolving. Those who are open to change are better positioned to develop creative solutions to problems, to find new ways of doing things, and to stay relevant in an ever-changing world. Change also opens the door to new relationships and connections. When we change the direction of our lives, whether through a new job, a new location, or even a new social activity, we meet new people. These connections can introduce us to fresh perspectives, new ideas, and even life-changing opportunities. Relationships that form during times of transition often have a deeper, more profound impact because they emerge when we are at a turning point in our lives. These are the moments when we are most open to new ideas and perspectives. It's important to remember that growth does not happen in static environments. To grow, we must be willing to embrace the discomfort of change. While change can seem intimidating or challenging at first, it is, in fact, a necessary part of life. Without change, we would remain stagnant, unable to develop, evolve, or move forward. The world is constantly shifting, and those who resist change are the ones who are left behind. On the other hand, those who welcome change with an open mind and heart are the ones who continue to grow, succeed, and thrive. So the next time change comes knocking at your door, don't see it as a threat. Don't shy away from it or try to resist it. See it for what it truly is, an opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to adapt, to innovate, and to become a better version of yourself. Change is not something that happens to you, it's something that happens for you, and through it, you will discover new strengths, new passions, and new ways of being. Embrace it, and you will find that the future you want is waiting for you on the other side. When we think about success, many of us picture a smooth, straightforward path, one where hard work and dedication guarantee that everything will go according to plan. But the reality is, the road to success is rarely linear. It's full of twists and turns, unexpected obstacles, and moments where the future is unclear. And here's the thing, success doesn't often come to those who play it safe, to those who avoid taking risks. Success belongs to those who are willing to take calculated risks, even when the outcome is uncertain. At its core, risk-taking is about embracing uncertainty and having the courage to act in the face of the unknown. It's about making decisions without having all the answers, knowing that you may encounter failure or setback, but understanding that those are just part of the journey. Risk-taking is not about being reckless, it's about choosing to step outside your comfort zone, choosing to face the fear of failure head on, and choosing to go after something that has the potential to change your life, whether that's a new career, a new relationship, or an exciting personal challenge. Think about the entrepreneurs and innovators who've shaped the world we live in today. Steve Jobs, for instance, didn't build Apple by playing it safe. He took enormous risks investing everything he had into a company that many believed was doomed to fail. Yet he saw the potential in technology and design, and he was willing to bet on it. Elon Musk similarly has made it a hallmark of his career to tackle seemingly impossible goals, from colonizing Mars to revolutionizing electric vehicles. The risks they took were not easy, but they were essential to achieving their extraordinary successes. These pioneers and many others share a fundamental trait: they were willing to step into the unknown and embrace risk, even when they had no guarantee of success. What set them apart wasn't that they were fearless, but that they were willing to take risks, despite their fear. The willingness to take calculated risks often leads to extraordinary rewards. If you want to achieve something meaningful, if you want to make a difference in your life or in the world around you, there's no way to do it without taking risks. But let's be clear, risk-taking isn't about making impulsive, reckless decisions. It's about making thoughtful, informed choices that push you beyond your current limits. When we talk about calculated risks, we mean risks that are based on research, preparation, and understanding. It's about weighing the potential rewards and the consequences and then deciding to move forward anyway. It's about using your judgment to make the best decision possible, even when the outcome is uncertain. Let's also remember that risk-taking doesn't always mean starting a business or making a major life change. It can be much smaller, more personal decisions that still require courage and a willingness to venture into unfamiliar territory. For example, speaking up in a meeting when you have a new idea, changing careers later in life, or moving to a new city. These might seem like small risks, but they can have a huge impact on your personal and professional growth. Each time you take a step towards something uncertain, you learn more about yourself and the world around you. It's also important to understand that failure is part of risk-taking. But that doesn't mean failure is the end of the road. In fact, failure is often the best teacher. Every time you take a risk and don't achieve the results you expected, you are learning valuable lessons that can propel you toward future success. In fact, some of the world's greatest achievers failed countless times before they succeeded. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His relentless pursuit of innovation and willingness to keep taking risks ultimately changed the world. He didn't let failure stop him. He used it as a stepping stone to find the right solution. The truth is, the more risks you take, the better you become at taking risks. Each risk you take builds your resilience, your ability to adapt, and your confidence. You learn to trust your instincts, to bounce back after setbacks, and to move forward with even more wisdom and clarity. And every time you step into the unknown, you increase your ability to embrace uncertainty, and that's where the greatest opportunities lie. Because the real world of success is not in the safe, predictable places, it's in the realm of possibility, where anything can happen, and where your willingness to take risks is what opens the door to remarkable achievement. Think about the field you're in right now, or the goals you have for your life. What risks have you been avoiding? What might happen if you decided to take them? It's easy to sit back and wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect plan, but here's the hard truth: the perfect moment rarely arrives. Success is about taking action, even when you don't feel 100% ready. It's about moving forward despite the uncertainty and trusting that the path will reveal itself as you go. The longer you wait to take that first step, the longer you delay the possibility of achieving your goals. Risk-taking is essential because it is the gateway to progress and transformation. The more risks you take, the more you grow as a person. You become more resilient, more adaptable, and more confident in your ability to navigate life's uncertainties. And with each risk, you become closer to the life you've always dreamed of, the life that only those who are willing to take chances and move past their fears can truly achieve. In the end, success doesn't come to those who wait for the perfect circumstances or play it safe. It comes to those who take action, who embrace the uncertainty of risk, and who trust in themselves enough to pursue their dreams, regardless of how unpredictable or difficult the journey might be. So don't wait for the perfect time. Take that risk now. Step outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself, and watch as the doors to success open in ways you never imagined. When we look at the stories of the most successful individuals, whether in business, the arts, science, or any other field, there's one thing that they all have in common: they stepped outside of their comfort zones. Every major success story, every breakthrough, every life-changing innovation begins with the decision to embrace the unknown, to confront challenges, and to move beyond what is familiar and safe. It's easy to stay where things feel secure, where we already know the outcomes and where failure seems unlikely. But the truth is, nothing extraordinary happens in the safety of the status quo. To grow, to innovate, to truly make an impact, we have to be willing to venture into the spaces where we don't yet have all the answers, where we might fail, where we might stumble, but where the potential for real growth lies. Think about some of the world's most transformative innovators. Albert Einstein, whose theories of relativity reshaped our understanding of physics, spent years challenging existing scientific paradigms. He didn't find success by sticking to what was already known. He ventured into the unknown, pushing boundaries in ways that others thought were impossible. Similarly, Marie Curie, the pioneering scientist who discovered radioactivity, faced countless obstacles and prejudices, especially as a woman in the male-dominated world of science. Yet, it was her willingness to push past the boundaries of established knowledge that led to discoveries that changed the world. In every one of these cases, success didn't come from sticking to the comfortable, the predictable, or the familiar. It came from stepping into unfamiliar territory and taking on challenges that seemed daunting at first. And this isn't just the story of scientists or entrepreneurs, it's the story of anyone who has achieved something remarkable. Creativity, innovation, and breakthroughs happen when we stop playing it safe and start taking risks. They happen when we get comfortable with the uncomfortable and move forward despite the uncertainty. Think about the times in your own life when you've had your most significant growth. Was it when you stayed in your routine, sticking to the familiar? Or was it when you took a chance, when you faced a challenge that pushed you to grow, adapt, and develop new skills? Maybe it was when you decided to take on a new job, learn a new skill, move to a new city, or pursue a passion that once seemed out of reach. These moments, though they may have been filled with discomfort, are the very moments that build character, expand capabilities, and unleash potential. In fact, we can look at the natural world to understand why growth requires moving outside our comfort zones. Consider a seed that is planted in the soil. When it first begins to grow, it must push through the earth, resisting the pressure of the soil around it. It has to stretch and expand in ways it never has before, breaking free from the small confines of its original space. It's only by pushing past its comfort zone, by stepping out into the open air, that the seed is able to grow into something larger and more beautiful than it was before. Growth, whether in nature or in life, always requires effort, discomfort, and stepping outside what is familiar. This is true for us as individuals as well. Personal growth doesn't happen when we stay in the safety of routine. It happens when we challenge ourselves, when we step up to challenges that seem impossible, and when we take the risks that force us to adapt. It's in these moments of discomfort, vulnerability, and uncertainty that we begin to uncover new strengths, new skills, and new insights about who we are and what we are capable of. For example, think about someone who takes on a leadership role for the first time. At first, they may feel uncertain, unsure of how to handle difficult situations, or even overwhelmed by the responsibility. But over time, as they navigate the challenges of leadership, dealing with diverse teams, making tough decisions, managing conflict, they learn new strategies, gain confidence, and become better leaders. If they had chosen to stay in the comfort of a non-leadership position, they would never have developed the skills that come from those challenging experiences. Similarly, consider a creative professional like an artist, writer, or designer who experiments with a new medium or style. Initially, the work might not come out as they imagined. They may feel frustrated by their lack of mastery in the new technique. But it is through these challenges, these moments of feeling out of their depth, that they learn and evolve as artists. Their willingness to step outside the comfort zone of their previous work leads them to new forms of expression, new insights, and new creative breakthroughs. Without that risk, they would be trapped in the familiar, but they wouldn't experience the growth that comes from stretching their boundaries. Innovation is often about seeing things from a different perspective, and that can only happen when we are willing to break free from conventional thinking. Look at the tech world, for instance. Every technological advancement, from the personal computer to the smartphone, required pioneers who were willing to push the limits of what was known at the time. These innovators weren't afraid of failure. They were driven by the belief that by stepping into the unknown, they could solve problems in entirely new ways. It was only when they moved beyond the safety of existing technologies and ideas that they were able to create products that transformed our lives. It's important to remember that growth is not always about immediate success. In fact, the most significant growth often happens in the midst of struggle. We learn by doing. We gain confidence by making mistakes and correcting course. As we overcome challenges, we not only expand our knowledge and skills, but we also build resilience. The process of working through difficulties, adapting to change, and finding solutions to problems makes us stronger, more resourceful, and more capable of facing future challenges with confidence. So while staying within the comfort zone might feel secure, it is outside the comfort zone where true transformation happens. It's in the unfamiliar, the uncertain, and the challenging spaces where we discover our potential. Innovation, creativity, breakthroughs, and personal growth are all forged in the fire of discomfort. When we're willing to take risks, face the unknown, and persist through challenges, we unlock opportunities for growth that we would never have encountered if we had stayed in the safety of the known. If you want to achieve something great, if you want to make a lasting impact, if you want to grow into the person you're meant to be, remember, growth happens outside the comfort zone. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. The magic, the breakthroughs, the success, they all lie just beyond the boundaries of what's familiar. Step outside, embrace the challenge, and watch how you transform into something greater than you ever imagined. When we talk about success, it's easy to focus on the moments of achievement, the finish lines crossed, the goals reached, the applause after a job well done. But the truth is, success is not just about the moments of victory. In fact, failure, the moment when things don't go as planned, is just as important to success. Failure is not the end of the journey, it's a crucial part of the process. Instead of seeing failure as something to be feared or avoided, we should reframe it as feedback, a valuable source of insight that guides us toward the next step. We've all experienced it, the times when things don't go the way we hoped, when we put in our best effort and still fall short. It's easy to feel discouraged in those moments. Failure can sting. It can make us question our abilities, our choices, and our worth. But here's the secret: failure is not a reflection of your potential. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. In fact, the most successful people in the world have failed countless times before they ever achieved their greatest accomplishments. Failure is an integral part of the process, not a sign that we should quit. Think about the story of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's inventions didn't come from a place of constant success. They came from trial, error, and persistence. Each failure taught him something new about how to improve his designs, how to adapt his approach, and how to eventually succeed. What Edison understood was that failure is a necessary part of the creative process and an essential step toward eventual success. Without those failures, there would be no breakthrough. And Edison's story isn't unique. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, was rejected by multiple publishers before she found one willing to take a chance on her book. Had she seen her initial rejections as a reason to give up, the world would never have known the magic of Harry Potter. Walt Disney, the visionary behind Disneyland and Disney World, faced numerous failures and rejections in his career. He was told he lacked creativity, and his first animation company went bankrupt. But rather than seeing these setbacks as defeats, he used them as motivation to try new things and push through his challenges. Failure teaches us in ways that success can't. It's through our mistakes that we often learn the most profound lessons. When we fail, we are forced to evaluate what went wrong, to think critically about the decisions we made, and to adapt. Failure demands that we adjust our strategies, sharpen our skills, and refine our approach. Without failure, we would never be pushed to confront our weaknesses or expand our knowledge. It's the trial and error process that leads us to the solutions and insights we need to move forward. Imagine a scientist conducting an experiment. For every trial that doesn't yield the expected result, they don't simply discard it, they analyze it, understand why it didn't work, and use that information to shape the next experiment. The failed experiment is just as valuable as the successful one because it offers critical data about what to avoid or how to adjust the approach. In much the same way, each failure we experience is a data point that helps us refine our understanding of what works and what doesn't. and ultimately, how to succeed. Failure also builds resilience, a key quality for achieving long-term success. When we fail and continue to push forward, we build mental toughness. We learn that failure is not final, it is simply part of the process. Every time we fail and choose to try again, we grow stronger, more adaptable, and more determined. The most successful people are often those who have faced the most setbacks, not because they were immune to failure, but because they refused to let it define them. Moreover, failure teaches us humility and perspective. It reminds us that no one has all the answers and that we are all works in progress. Each setback is an opportunity for growth, and every failure is a chance to get closer to the solution. When we embrace failure as feedback rather than fearing it, we shift our mindset from one of frustration to one of curiosity. We stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" Another important aspect of failure is that it opens doors to new possibilities. Failure often forces us to pivot, to reassess our goals and our approach. Maybe the path we were on wasn't the right one, and we needed that failure to realize that a different path would be more successful. For example, Airbnb started as a simple idea to help its founders make extra money by renting out air mattresses in their living room. It faced multiple rejections and seemed like a failed idea at first. But those early failures led them to refine their model, invest in better branding, and eventually become a global company worth billions. Failure often forces us to think creatively and adapt in ways we may never have considered if everything had gone smoothly from the start. So rather than avoiding failure, we should welcome it as a teacher. Failure shows us what doesn't work, and from there we can make the adjustments that will lead us to success. It's through this iterative process that we improve, grow, and ultimately find the right path. The fear of failure can be paralyzing, but it's important to remember that failure is not an ending, it's simply a part of the journey. When we view failure as feedback, we take the power away from its ability to discourage us. We give ourselves permission to fail, to try again, and to learn in the process. We stop measuring our worth by the number of times we fall short and start measuring our growth by the lessons we learn and the resilience we develop along the way. Failure is a natural part of the process. It's not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as an essential tool in our personal and professional development. So the next time you experience failure, whether it's a small setback or a significant challenge, don't see it as the end. See it as feedback. Use it to adjust, to refine, and to move forward with greater clarity and determination. Remember, failure is not final, it's feedback. And that feedback will guide you toward your next success. When we think about making significant changes in our lives, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The thought of completely transforming our careers, our health, or our relationships can feel like an enormous task. Often, the sheer magnitude of the change we want to make can paralyze us, leaving us stuck in a cycle of hesitation or procrastination. But here's the truth: you don't need to make drastic changes all at once. Big transformations don't always come from sudden, radical decisions. In fact, small, consistent steps taken outside of our comfort zone can lead to significant personal growth, remarkable achievements, and long-lasting change. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that major success requires monumental shifts. We look at others who seem to have it all figured out and think they must have made one huge decision, one grand leap that led them to where they are now. While it's true that big breakthroughs can happen, the reality for most successful people is that they got to where they are through small, deliberate steps taken over time. These small steps may not always feel like they're moving the needle, but over the course of days, months, and years, they build momentum, leading to significant transformation. Consider how physical fitness works. If you've ever tried to get in shape, you know that the idea of running a marathon or lifting heavy weights can feel daunting. The goal may seem too far out of reach. But success in fitness doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent, incremental steps. Maybe it starts with walking for 10 minutes a day, then gradually increasing to 20 minutes, then adding some light jogging, and eventually running longer distances. Each small step may feel insignificant in isolation, but over time, those steps accumulate, and you'll find yourself reaching milestones you once thought impossible. The key is consistency and the belief that each small effort is one step closer to a greater goal. The same principle applies to personal development, professional growth, and habit formation. Let's say your goal is to write a book. The task may seem overwhelming. How will you find the time, the ideas, or the motivation to write hundreds of pages. But if you break it down into small, manageable steps, the process becomes much more attainable. Instead of focusing on the entire manuscript, set a goal of writing just 300 words a day. Over time, those 300 words per day will add up. Before you know it, you'll have a first draft, then a completed manuscript, and eventually a published book. Big goals are achieved by taking small, consistent actions every single day. In fact, small steps often lead to bigger changes than we expect because they create lasting habits and help us overcome the inertia that holds us back. When we try to change everything at once, whether it's overhauling our lifestyle, career, or personal habits, we often burn out, feel overwhelmed, or become discouraged by the magnitude of the task. But small, manageable actions don't overwhelm us in the same way. They allow us to build confidence, gain momentum, and develop the discipline needed for larger changes. Even more importantly, small steps build resilience. When we make gradual changes, we give ourselves the opportunity to learn along the way. Maybe we encounter setbacks, maybe things don't always go as planned, but because we've taken small steps, we're better able to recover, adapt, and keep going. These small victories add up, creating a foundation of trust in ourselves and our ability to succeed. Take the example of someone who wants to get better at public speaking. The idea of speaking in front of a large audience can feel intimidating, but you don't have to start there. You might begin by speaking up more in small meetings or practicing with friends and family. Perhaps you begin by recording yourself giving short presentations, gradually building confidence and skill before stepping in front of a larger crowd. These small, incremental steps help desensitize you to the fear of public speaking and gradually build your confidence. Before you know it, you're standing in front of a room full of people, speaking confidently and achieving something that once felt impossible. Small steps lead to big change because they gradually break down the walls of fear and resistance that stand in our way. Small steps also have the unique power to create compound growth. The more we commit to small, consistent actions, the more they build upon each other. Think of this like the compound interest in a savings account. If you invest just a little bit every day, you may not see immediate returns, but over time, the interest compounds and the results multiply exponentially. The same happens in life. Small, consistent efforts create habits that lead to success, and those habits over time produce results that are far greater than we initially anticipated. One powerful example of this principle is the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare, confident in its speed, rushes ahead, while the tortoise takes small, steady steps. The tortoise may seem like it's lagging behind, but its consistency wins the race. The hare's impulsive, erratic efforts ultimately lead to burnout, while the tortoise's small, deliberate steps lead to steady progress and success. This fable reminds us that steady, consistent effort often outpaces quick bursts of energy. Moreover, small steps help us build momentum. Often the hardest part of making a change is getting started. Once we take the first step, the second becomes easier, and the third even easier still. Before long, we've created a routine, a rhythm, and a system of progress. Small wins lead to bigger wins, and the momentum we build can carry us toward the larger goals we've set for ourselves. It's the same principle that makes habits so powerful. By taking action, even in small doses, we create momentum that pushes us forward, even when the path gets tough. Let's also consider how small steps lead to better decision-making and a clearer path forward. When we focus on one manageable action at a time, we avoid feeling paralyzed by the enormity of our goals. Each step we take brings us closer to the larger vision, and each small success provides clarity for the next step. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the mountain ahead, we learn to trust the process, to focus on the next step, and to celebrate each moment of progress. It's important to understand that big changes don't always happen overnight, and that's okay. The key to long-lasting success is not to make one huge leap, but to consistently show up, take small actions, and make gradual improvements. Small steps are the building blocks of monumental change. They are the path to progress, the key to overcoming fear, and the foundation of success. So instead of waiting for the perfect time to make a grand change, start with small, manageable steps. Whether you want to improve your health, grow your career, learn a new skill, or cultivate better relationships, remember that consistency is more important than speed. Each small step you take today brings you one step closer to the person you want to be and the life you want to lead. Big changes happen because of the small, consistent steps we take along the way. change, as we know, can be difficult. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones, take risks, and face the unknown. This can feel overwhelming at times, and it's easy to doubt ourselves or become discouraged. But the journey of personal and professional growth doesn't have to be walked alone. Surrounding yourself with supportive people, those who encourage you, challenge you, and help you stay motivated during tough times can make all the difference. When we surround ourselves with the right people, we create an environment that fosters growth, resilience, and motivation. Think about the people in your life who have inspired you, who have challenged you to reach for something greater, or who have lifted you up when you were feeling down. These individuals are the ones who help us navigate the challenges of change. They remind us that we are not alone in our journey and that, even in moments of difficulty, there is always a way forward. They help us see possibilities when we are clouded by doubt. Supportive people can come in many forms: family, friends, colleagues, mentors, or even members of a community with similar goals. These people don't just offer encouragement, they offer accountability, perspective, and insight. When we try to make changes in isolation, it's easy to fall off course or lose motivation. Consider the role of mentors. A mentor is someone who has walked a similar path and who can offer wisdom, guidance, and encouragement. Having a mentor is like having a map for the journey. But it's not just mentors who can make a difference. Peer support is just as important. Think about the people who are going through similar experiences to your own, whether they are fellow entrepreneurs, classmates, colleagues, or friends working towards similar goals. Peer support creates a sense of community. When we surround ourselves with people who understand the challenges we face, it's easier to share struggles, exchange advice, and celebrate victories. This shared experience can help us stay motivated, especially when we encounter obstacles. Another powerful source of support is the people who challenge us. Change is often difficult because it requires us to evolve, and growth doesn't always happen in comfortable ways. Sometimes we need others to push us beyond our limits, to challenge our assumptions, and to encourage us to strive for more than we thought we could. These are the people who ask us the tough questions, hold us accountable, and make us step up our game.